Russia, Russia, Russia.
All about Russia, 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 and also Dugina.
Fiery explosion just outside Moscow. Russian investigators say a car bomb killed the daughter of a close Putin ally in a contract killing. Daria Dugin, the daughter of Alexander Dugin, Putin's brain, died in the blast of Putin's brain.
We have a story from the Daily Beast. The headline here. The mystery man vowing Putin's friends will get blown up soon. Oh, okay. Let's real quick here. The Daily Beast. Looks like the Daily Beast is owned by Barry Diller's internet media company, IAC Interactive Corp, and has received most of its funding from the company. Daily Beast began without advertising and has gradually introduced ads since early 2009. Okay, so there you go. See, we talk about the reason for value, and that's why. The Daily Beast probably started as just, hey, we want it. Well, maybe not. It was a pretty big internet media company that started it, boasting nearly 34 million views per month. But as soon as corporate money comes in, it changes the way you report things. It changes the things you can talk about and not talk about. And of course, keeping that in mind, we have this Daily Beast story here that serves as propaganda. It was written by Anna Nemtsova. And it goes like this. Almost a decade after he was exiled, a former Russian statesman has emerged from the shadows this week as a new thorn in the side of the Kremlin. Ooh. Thorn in the side. Man, biblical references. In a shocking televised address from Kyiv last week, 47-year-old ex-politician Ilya Ponomarev debuted as a self-described messenger. Yeah, messenger, like angel, for what he says is an underground resistance movement operating in Russia, the National Republican Army. The National Republican Army. Ponomarev read the group's so-called manifesto on a Kyiv-based TV channel he founded 7 months ago. Convenient. 7 months ago, he founds a channel and then war breaks out. That's not good timing whatsoever. It's coincidence, right? Maybe he started it because of the war. It's called February Morning, the channel. So maybe that's why. In which they claimed responsibility for the car bomb that killed Daria Dugina, the daughter of Russian nationalist and staunch Putin ally Alexander Dugin. I thought that was interesting. So this guy here, this is Ilya Ponomarev, is reporting that this group inside Russia, this underground resistance group, claimed the death of Daria Dugina. Interesting. Quote, the activists chose a sacred figure of Russian fascism, and that's not up to me to criticize the target of their deed. Plausible deniability, Ponomarev said in an interview with the Daily Beast. Oh, they're getting exclusives from this guy. Whoa. Claiming that he's been in contact with the resistance fighters since April. Besides passing their messages along, Ponomarev said his, quote, job is to provide commercial support to the group as needed. Now, why would that be? Why couldn't they just give us the facts? He needs commercial support. Just questions. I'm just asking questions, folks. Susan, those are just questions. Ponomarev's connection to the alleged partisan movement is murky, and he hasn't been able to provide evidence that they had a role in the attack on Dugina. Hey, thank you, Daily Beast, for giving us that at least. But that hasn't stopped a wave of press coverage spotlighting Ponomarev's allegations and fueling skepticism that Russian citizens could be behind the car bomb incident. I have that sentence highlighted because, the Daily Beast is its own, media outlet, right? 34 million viewers a month. So that hasn't stopped a wave of press coverage spotlighting his allegations. Okay, yeah, you're part of it. Daily Beast, you're doing it right here in this article. Just ways to think about, how to read these articles. Quote, we've been receiving videos and text messages from the Russian rebels about their actions nearly every day, Ponomarev said. Quote, They throw Molotov cocktails at military draft offices, blow up railroads, pop tires of cars with Russian pro-war symbols, and attack activists who were collecting money for the war. Whoa, okay, so they're burning military draft offices, or at least throwing Molotov cocktails in there, blowing up railroads. Now, here's the thing that I want to point out as well in this article. Again, this is Daily Beast. Right under the sentence talking about a Molotov cocktail, because what do you think of when you think of Molotov cocktail? You think fire, right? So there's a photo underneath that sentence, and it's of a passport that is lit on fire on kind of like just a little concrete slab there with a fence. And the caption for this photo is a Russian passport is engulfed in flames, started by Ilya Ponomarev, a former member of the State Duma who immigrated from Russia in 2014. So that guy is burning his Russian passport. But I want you to think about the psychology here of them saying, oh, they're throwing Molotov cocktails, and then immediately posting a picture with a flame. I think this is the kind of thing that makes folks who are not thinking critically about articles to be like, oh man, it must be really bad over there. And they're fighting for the rights of, Ukrainians or NATO or whatever it is. Ponomarev's associates at February morning, Alexei Baranovsky, a former supporter of ultra far right organizations in Russia, told the Daily Beast that the media group received messages from the National Republican Army. That's the other thing. I do think it's weird that they're called the National Republican Army. The underground army in Russia rebelling against Putin, the National Republican Army. Within an hour of the attack on Duzhina in Moscow, he claimed that the group had asked Ponomarev to represent them and share their manifesto, in which they promised that, quote, those who do not resign their power will be destroyed by us. Whoa, that's a crazy threat. And also, don't you think that maybe this could be some either intelligence operators or worse off, higher up elite lizard people factions, sending messages and chats from Telegram and things like that, photos, suggesting that there's a resistance from within. I don't know. It's very strange. Quote, the initiative came from the group. They acted absolutely autonomously. We do not call them terrorists. They are an army of rebels, Baranovsky told the Daily Beast. Again, shaping this. They're not terrorists. They're an army of rebels because they're fighting Putin. And that's something Basil's pointed out over and over again, how when it serves the narrative, they're just rebels fighting against the bad guy. But if they don't serve the narrative, they are terrorists. Doesn't matter if they're from another country or in the United States. They are terrorists. He said, this is Baranovsky said, that about 10 employees of the channel gathered for a meeting with Ponomarev on Sunday to discuss his address. Quote, he read the statement that we had received and commented on it, end quote. I'll just read this here. Ponomarev first fled Russia in 2014 after being the only member of Russian parliament to vote against the annexation of occupied Crimea. He eventually settled in Kiev, where he became the chief executive of a U.S. investment firm in the oil and gas industry in Ukraine. Maybe he had some conversations with the Biden family, but I don't know that. I'm just throwing that out there. Though without much success. Oh, okay. Maybe he wasn't doing all the things that they wanted him to do. He told the Daily Beast that Russia's invasion of Ukraine is what prompted him to launch his media group, manned exclusively by Russian exiles living in Ukraine. Quote, my war began on that day. End quote. 2, he told the Daily Beast. The Daily Beast completing the sentence for him. And again, it goes into some of the history that we don't need to necessarily get into, and the background story of the troubles there. But yeah, it's very interesting that they would highlight the Daily Beast here, highlighting the resistance from within, and seeing as these are threats in many ways. If it is in media, if it's being promulgated through a mainstream outlet like this, that the head people of Russia are going to see it and read it and whatever, or get reports on it or whatnot. So it's propaganda from all sides. And, this is just a threat especially because there is plausible deniability here. It's not this guy who rebelled against Putin before. It's not the U.S. It's not NATO. It's just a group of rebels. It's very Antifa, but kind of flipped around, right? So I don't know. Just thought it was an interesting one. Meanwhile, in Russia, let's trying to be as balanced as possible here. This is from RT, and this is again part of that cold type of war I was talking about. RT.com headline: Russia halts gas deliveries via Nord Stream 1. Okay, so very interesting. The pipeline to Germany has been temporarily shut down due to maintenance. Maintenance, convenient. The flow of gas to Europe via the Nord Stream 1 Baltic Sea pipeline was suspended due to routine maintenance on Wednesday, the Russian company Gazprom has said. The undersea pipeline runs from Vyborg in western Russia to Lubmin in northern Germany. Gazprom said deliveries would be suspended from Wednesday till Saturday. Oh, okay, so it's just 3 days or so, 3.5 days. The halt in deliveries takes place as Europe grapples with soaring energy prices amid fears of gas shortages on the continent. Some politicians have expressed concern that Moscow could shut down the supplies entirely in response to the sweeping sanctions imposed on Russia over its military operation in Ukraine. Gazprom previously shut down Nord Stream 1 for 10 days in July, also citing maintenance. The company said the operation of the pipeline was affected by the holdup of a repaired turbine in Canada due to sanctions. Okay, so there you go. They're saying, we're just halting it, but it's just maintenance, but also it's the sanctions, man. The sanctions are really slowing us down. It's causing issues. This is, I'm curious to know how much the halts happened prior to all this chaos. How long was it on for before July when they had to shut it down for 10 days? And then how often are they going to start shutting it down? Because, it's progressive. They're not going to just cut it off, but maintenance. Supply chain causing more maintenance. It's causing issues. It's just a slow rug pull of the pipeline. And because you got to build, you have to build opposing infrastructure, but you also have to create different means to, carry that stuff out. So very propagandistic, I would say, to just continually say that it's just for maintenance. Eventually it won't be just for maintenance, or it'll be indefinite. We'll turn it back on when we have the supplies, but the sanctions. So interesting. And it serves as a form of warfare because, if you can stop the flow of energy into a country that is not supporting your cause, that is a form of warfare. It's not as passive, actually. It's pretty aggressive, but it's not all out physical warfare, but it is sort of that proxy war they've been talking about.